Hey guys, welcome to the Manchester United News channel. Subscribe to the channel to not miss any news, leave your like, and share, you are very important for the growth of the channel. Let's go to the video.
And welcome back to the Transfer Show. James Savundra, Dharmesh Sheth with me down in London. Up in Scotland, Chris Boyd is still with us, and we're going to talk Harry Maguire now. So, Dharmesh, we are 10 days away from the end of the window. What's going on with Maguire?
You counting, are you? Same. No change. Harry Maguire, as it stands, will stay at Manchester United. We know that there was an agreement, we think, between West Ham and Manchester United over a £30 million deal, and then there were conflicting reports on how far along that deal had gone. We think West Ham United felt that they'd done everything they could on their side to get this deal done, and they were waiting for the exit terms between United and Harry Maguire before he could potentially do a medical and join West Ham. However, source close to the player said, well, actually, there's no agreement with West Ham United and the player. He wants to stay at Manchester United. He wants to fight for his place at Manchester United, which, on the face of it, is something that Erik Ten Hag welcomes from anyone in his squad, because he wants players who want to be there and want to fight for their place, which is effectively what Harry Maguire will be doing. He's still under contract there at Manchester United, but as you mentioned, with 10 days to go, so far there's been 2 Premier League games. He was out injured with a slight issue for the Tottenham game, but the Wolves game on the Monday Night Football last week, he was effectively 4th choice, wasn't he? Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane appear to be the first choice central defensive partnership, and Victor Lindelof came on in place of Lisandro Martinez while Harry Maguire was an unused substitute.
I still think he's 5th choice because Luke Shaw's getting picked ahead of him.
Again, there's that, and then there's the prospect potentially of Johnny Evans extending his short-term contract into a permanent contract for next season. So how far is that going to push Harry Maguire? And Harry Maguire will have a decision to make if other clubs do come in, because there's the Euros at the end of the season. And is he going to be able to get into the team, let alone the squad, if his game time is going to be even more limited than it was last season? It's a decision that Harry Maguire is going to have to make. But as it stands, he's willing to take that risk and fight for his place at Old Trafford and show Erik Ten Hag that he should be picked ahead of the other defenders.
Let's bring Chris in here. Chris, does Harry Maguire have to get out of there?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's gone too far now. To be honest, I think the treatment of Harry Maguire has been an absolute disgrace on social media. He's been hounded, and the tweets and everything that have been sent about Harry Maguire every time he makes a mistake of that has been an absolute disgrace. And I think you've got to applaud Harry Maguire for being able to to continue at the level he's been able to continue. I mean, I think when you look at any time he's pulled on an England jersey, I don't think he's let Hughes down as such. The whole Manchester United scenario is just a disgrace. I think the way he's been treated. Dharmesh is right. He's 4th, 5th choice. Mike, you were right as well. Luke Shaw came in at the end of the season and played a lot of the time in there at centre back as well. Does he have to get out? Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think he has to move on for his own, not only for his own football career, but I think for his own life, because I don't know how he can live with it, because as I said, the abuse that he has suffered in social media over the last few years has been an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, I want to bring in Scott McTominay as well on this chat, because United have been overrun in midfield in these 2 games they've played. McTominay's been sitting there watching it. Has he got to get out of there as well?
Yeah, I mean, they've obviously got a big squad, but at the same time, I mean, when you're not playing and you're seeing, Scott McTominay will be looking at it saying to himself, from the weekend there, the midfield totally overran. There's no doubt Casemiro came in and was, really good last season, but, the start of this season, he's looked miles off it. And you kind of get the feeling that, Manchester United, when they're going forward, they've got loads of numbers forward, but defensively they're a little bit weak. There's one thing about Scott McTominay, he can do both. He can get box to box. But, I don't think Erik Ten Hag, he's obviously trusted him for some games, but there's got to be a reason why he's not playing. I mean, if I am Scott McTominay, do you look at it and say, I can hang around here for a little bit longer because I've got youth on my side, and, the guys in there at this moment in time are not really producing. I wouldn't be surprised, if he does leave, But, looking at Manchester United at this moment in time, they're so open, wide open, and so easy to play through. Hence the reason why, Casemiro has been struggling the first few games. Does McTominay, does he look at it and think, can I get myself back in? But, when you've invested as much as what Manchester United have on Casemiro, it's going to be very difficult.
Darmish, are Manchester United looking at options in midfield?
Yes, but it's probably going to require departures in that area. Now, we know that Fred has left, and United effectively have got 15 million euros for him, all in, including performance-related add-ons. Donny van de Beek is a player that Erik ten Hag has said probably does want to leave the football club, and he's happy for him to do that if the suitable offer comes in. Now, we do know that there's interest in Sofian Amrabat. They are effectively ready to do a deal with Fiorentina, but it just remains to be seen whether they can do that deal without having to have a major departure in the midfield area to be able to fund that deal. Now, just one other line that's just coming to us now, Mike. I mentioned Donny van de Beek. Erik ten Hag mentioned that he was wanting to leave the club. He also mentioned in the same breath in that post-match news conference about Brandon Williams being another player who would want to leave the club as well. And it's just been confirmed to us now that United are now in talks with Ipswich Town over a possible departure for Brandon Williams from Old Trafford to Portman Road. This one would fit as well. The manager of Ipswich is Kieran McKenna, the former assistant manager at Manchester United. So there is a link there. I'm just getting it clarified whether it is a loan, a straight loan, or a loan with an option, or indeed a permanent deal. We think it might be a loan with an option as it stands just now. But Manchester United and Ipswich in talks over Brandon Williams.
OK, all right, let's talk Tottenham then, James. We understand there's a lot that they need out of the door. How big a list is it?
It's a huge list. We'll start with Hugo Lloris. Sky in Italy reporting that Lazio are continuing talks with Spurs around his signing. 1 year left on his contract. A deal was looking unlikely last week, but there is a hope that there can be some sort of agreement. He's ready for a new chapter. 11 years, 11 eventful years in North London. We consider all that's happened in that time. And he gave an interview earlier on this summer saying that it's the end of an era for him, despite the fact he still had a year left in his contract. So he's still at the club. He wasn't part of the pre-season tour. He's not training with the first team now. Still a Spurs player for now. His last Tottenham match will end up being that 6-1 defeat at Newcastle. But Ange Postecoglou was speaking last week. He admitted the focus is now on trimming down the squad. He said that having so many players at the moment is actually affecting training and naturally affecting those players as well. A number of players could be offloaded in the next 10 days, potentially 8 senior players. Japhet Tanganga, Eric Dyer, Jed Spence, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Tanguy Dembele. We've mentioned Hugo Lloris, Sergio Reguilon, Davinson Sanchez. Those are 8 players who could be on the move. And if they are on the move, that could trigger Tottenham bringing some more players in potentially. Now, one player who we think may potentially now stay, who we were convinced at the start of this window would be on the move, Giovanni Lo Celso, especially if James Maddison's injury is serious. We showed you pictures throughout the week. He walked off and walked away from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on crutches on Saturday following the victory over Manchester United. We're still waiting for an update on the severity of that injury.
Cool, OK. So, Chris, a lot of players facing the exit door, but if you're under contract and you're a player, aren't you within your rights to stay and take your money?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will, but when you look at people like Hugo Lloris, as we speak about there, 11 years. It is time. When you've been that number one, you don't want to hang around. You'd rather get out and play football. He's as you said, he's had his ups and downs, but I think the majority of them have been ups. He's obviously had the odd mistake here and there, but over the period, he has been a good goalkeeper for Tottenham Hotspur. Ange Postecoglou knows exactly what he wants. We've seen it when he arrived at Celtic. It was a rebuild needed there. He was quite fortunate in a way that he didn't have to get as many players out the door because there was a lot of loans and people had left Celtic the season before. So, it was his players he was bringing in. It's sometimes difficult to move players that are under contract, but I think with the way that football is right now, when you look at you've got Euros, you've got World Cups, you've got players that want to play in Europe. Tottenham are not in Europe this year as well. So there'll be players there who say, I want to sample the European nights, and if there's an opportunity to move, then they'll want to move. When you think Højbjerg's been a He's been someone who's been in the starting 11 for Tottenham for a number of years now as well, and he finds himself out of the team. So, there is lots of players that, with a change of manager, and there is no doubt the style that Ange Postecoglou plays, you need to be able to be fit. You need to be fit and fit into that style, or you won't be there. Because he will just move you on and bring in players that that fits the way that he wants to play, and there's no harm in that. I mean, I think sometimes it happens at football clubs. You get manager that comes in and it totally changes the style of play, and players do need to move on. But Tottenham, they have got a lot of players there that you feel as if are not really contributing much, and they will be on big wages. If you can move some of them out and bring in one or two starters, that will definitely help Tottenham Hotspur, that's for sure.
Chris, what have you made of Postecoglou's start at Spurs, on and off the pitch?
I mean, I think he speaks really well, he conducts himself well, there's something...
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel to not miss anything, leave your like and your comment, that is very important for the channel growth. Until the next video.
Forever is the strangest thing. It's shorter than you think.